Welcome, everyone, to the next bonus session of the Guest Expert Incubator. So excited to have you all here with us this week. I am thrilled to be joined by one of my favorite people, Christina Woods, who's worked with Interview Connections for a couple of years now and has had such incredible successes. She's a clinical hypnotherapist and an empowerment coach. I'm going to let her introduce herself in just a moment. She is a prime example of somebody who has committed long-term to podcast guesting, has received and implemented the coaching that we give at Interview Connections, and from that has generated incredible results in her business. So, Christina, thank you for joining me. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Jessica. So you're right. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and a coach and an energy healer. And I work with high achieving, spiritually open women who have these invisible barriers and limiting beliefs. So I help them find those and get rid of them so they can live the life they're meant to live and have this amazing life in love, health, whatever it might be.
That's amazing. And I know that, your story is you worked in corporate for a long time and then shifted to having this business. So tell us a little bit about your background and kind of bring us to the moment where you decided to make the investment in your visibility and working with Interview Connections to get booked on podcasts. Kind of where were you at that time in your business?
Yeah. So, yeah, I had a 30-year corporate career and I was about a year into this business, being a new entrepreneur in a completely new business. And I decided, realizing obviously having great success and credibility in a whole new different identity, that podcasting was something I felt would give me credibility, gain visibility, and when you're moving from a 30-year career to something new, I was so excited and so passionate. But the reality was I was brand new and no one knew who I was. And I was kind of the new kid on the block. And I thought, okay, what is the fastest way for me to gain credibility, visibility, network, meet people, kind of get my feelers out there the fastest way to really get media exposure as well. And so that was when I went to your masterclass, and dove right in, did I think 40 something my first year and just went for it. And that was why I did it. I really needed to establish myself in a brand new industry. I had that credibility over there, and I realized very quickly I did not have it in this new industry. And it was really important to get that.
Yeah, and were you, if you don't mind sharing, kind of, you kind of alluded to you were newer in business, in this business at least.
Yeah.
Where were you at sort of annual revenue wise? Because I think this is something, I talk about, like, typically we're working with 6 to 7 figure entrepreneurs, like established businesses, but I think you're a really good example of somebody that was earlier on in business. I actually don't know kind of where your revenue was at, but even though you were earlier on, you saw the possibility and what this would do for you. Because some people hear, oh, I'm not established, I'm not ready for this. But it's like, okay, but is that a limiting belief, or are you actually not ready for the visibility? So I would love for you to touch on kind of that
Yeah. Yeah,
aspect.
no, that's I think it's important and you know, full vulnerability here. I was not at a six-figure income yet. And I became there through this process. And so that investment was one I really had to think about. When you're not there yet and you're establishing myself, I was about a year into a completely new brand industry as an entrepreneur. And it's like, this is a big investment. This is a big decision. But through that investment, I went from not being, at a six-figure income to certainly surpassing that. And my investment doubled, tripled, and has gone well beyond. And it isn't just a monetary, investment that I've seen happen. It's opened so many doors, media and speaking opportunities and clients and networking and credibility and so much more than I anticipated. Confidence, of course, too. And we could talk about that. But yeah, I mean, good old money, you got to have that coming in the door. So yeah,
Yeah.
it changed things big time.
Absolutely. So I want to talk about like shed some visibility on like tangible results that you've seen. You've had a lot, and then we'll go into what helped generate those results, like lessons learned. What do you feel like you did? What levers did you pull that then led to those results? So first, let's talk about some of the results. And I know you have a lot, so maybe we'll pick like your top three results that you've achieved from podcast guesting.
So the biggest result was credibility. So, being seeing I think I've recorded now over 75 podcasts. So just being a credible expert hypnotherapist now who can speak on topics like boundaries and self-doubt and being considered an expert. I've been asked to speak on stages. I've been asked to speak at retreats. I have a big opportunity now coming to be on the cover of a magazine. And these things would never have happened if they didn't go to my site or go to, my social media now and be able to see that, yeah, I've been speaking quite a bit. So that alone never, ever would have happened. The second, I think, has been as a new entrepreneur in a new industry, just clarifying my message and hearing back what does my market want to hear about, what was interesting to them. And by repeating your stories and your message over and over, I was able to tweak and hear like that didn't sound very, that didn't go over very well in that podcast, or all the hosts want to hear about this, or the listeners are really, I'm getting a lot of discovery calls booked after that show or that episode. That must be a great topic. I need to do a course about that. So, the response, what are people interested in? So that's real response, real reactions that tell me what people want to buy. And, those are probably the biggest ones.
I love that. And that's something that I love talking with entrepreneurs about who are considering podcast guesting is that response you get, the feedback loop of the topics you're talking about and the response you get from the hosts and the listeners. And that really informs where to put your focus. Or maybe
Yeah.
hosts are asking you questions that aren't on your one sheet as a prepared topic or question, but it's always coming up. And so maybe you shift and add that to your one sheet. So the organic feedback loop that happens is absolutely invaluable because a lot of people who are kind of where you were, right, earlier on in business, they kind of think that, oh, I need to get everything perfect before I get visibility, but it's actually the best strategizing is going to happen on the court. It's actually going to be doing these interviews, having people hear them, stumbling through it if you have to then get to the
Yes.
point of that's it.
And for me, that's absolutely what it was. And working with your team and saying, all right, let's tweak my one sheet. These questions, they're not the right questions. These are the better questions.
Yeah.
And these are the better topics. And I really don't want to take my business in that direction. I want to take it in this direction. And some of them surprised me. So
Yeah. And so let's talk about what are the strategies. I teach a lot about the strategies in our masterclass and our guest expert incubator. And, with our clients, there's a lot of different strategies for monetizing podcast interviews. And you've been such an amazing student. You implement so much of what we teach. So, what do you think maybe the top three or four things that you've done that have then led to these results of being a speaker and all the things that you've just shared that have happened? What do you think tactically you've done that have helped you generate those results?
yeah, so I watched the videos, I listened. One of my strengths is, and this is why I do what I do, but one of my strengths is connecting with people. And so this was like, a natural playground, if you will, for me to have the opportunity to connect with people. So, but the green room, I was nervous about the green room for a while. I will admit the first few podcasts, I didn't know what to say, but I watched your videos, I listened, and just connecting, how can I help you? How can I support you? What might you need in ways? And I've built great connections and they'll tell you what they need. So, just asking in the green room, what do they need? How can you help and support them? I've done projects with hosts now. Many hosts have become clients. Many host family members and their children have become clients. And that is a great testimony. So, that alone, much less their listeners becoming clients. So green room, sending personal notes. That's who I am. I mean, this is who I am. This is kind of the person that I am. So a lot of who I am, I think you get to just be who you are on podcasts. So connecting with people, writing personal notes, sending gifts, that's the kind of person that I am. And I get to do that on podcasts. So when I send them a journal, it's part of what I do as a hypnotherapist. Hey, here's a journal. Here's my note. You'll remember me. They are so excited for this journal I buy at Target and send to them. Or if they're out of the country, I send it through Amazon, and they remember and we stay connected. And then when I need something or they need something months later, this is a relationship. This is, this is makes a big difference. So those personal things, and then following up with them and asking if there's future episodes or other shows that I can be a part of. And absolutely, have I gotten lots of referrals, or is there anyone you think could benefit from what I do? And they've referred friends or other connections and contacts, or other people in the business that they think I could benefit from or connect with.
I love that. I love that essentially these three tips are all focused on the host relationship, which is
Yeah.
the top strategy that I talk about when I teach about how to monetize your interviews on podcasts. It's really about your relationship with the host. So focusing on that green room chat, really being connected with them, asking them questions, saying thank you. You're very grounded in gratitude. I love that you send them a notebook. That's so sweet. Like that goes, I mean, it doesn't take that much time or money, but wow, does that really make you stand apart from the crowd? And then asking for referrals, that's huge. And I know that you have a background in sales, but I can
Yeah.
always tell when someone has a background in sales. And it's not like, oh, I'm going to do this to get this, but it's just like, follow up. Like, don't like, there are opportunities. The way I like to say it too is podcast guesting, you're sitting on a pot of gold. There's so much there, but if you don't open up the treasure trove, if you don't actually look, you're not going to get the results. And so you just need to actually take some action to, actually close the sales and generate the referrals and all that.
Yeah. It's become an entire beautiful web of support, and I support them. They reach out to me now for support, for questions, and they help me and support me when I need things. There's been tech questions and things. So it's an entire network now, and it's just become so much more than, yes, I get my investment back, but the credibility, the visibility, it's just like the pebble and the ripple. So
Yes, I love it. Well, I just have so enjoyed working with you, and I'm so proud of the success. Like, it makes me so happy when our clients learn and commit and implement and the results come. It's just like absolute magic. So, thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom. What, for those who are attending our event this week and are kind of sitting on the fence, they're thinking about working with us, but there's something holding them back. I mean, what can you share with them to help motivate them to take action and book that consultation call?
No, I think no matter what you're selling. So obviously I do this, something that's quite personal and can be an intimate service, but no matter what you're selling, widgets or whatnot, people, they don't care how much you know unless they know how much you care. And I find that podcasting is just an opportunity to be you and really share how much you care. So, I mean, look at this as just an opportunity to be yourself. And I don't care if you sell widgets or pencils or whatever you do, you care about it. I know you do. You care about what you do and what you sell, and your service and your product. And you get to talk about it, and you get to just be yourself and talk about how awesome your product is. And I don't know about you, but everything I see on social media, even when I see someone being genuine, I'm always a little bit like, okay, it's still social media. But a podcast is a conversation with stories and real stories, and you get a real vibe about the person. So if you're on the fence, just think of it. It's the most authentic way to be you and just talk about what you do.
Yes, absolutely. This is the perfect strategy if you really value human connection and want to keep
Mhm.
your marketing authentic. So,
Yeah.
yeah, interviewconnections.com/call will take you right to the form where you can book a consultation call. If you're watching this on the replay page or on YouTube or Facebook, we'll have the link right below. So book your consultation call. Christina, where can everyone find you online?
My website is christinalwoods.com, and that's the best place. Instagram is great too, christina.lwoods.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you everyone for watching. Your replay access to the Guest Expert Incubator expires this Friday, February 23rd at midnight. So go check it out and book your consultation call. Perfect.